So what we want to do is we want to start going through our counter. So let's make some space and we can start up a new method here. And this will be function start round. And when we start this round, we will probably go ahead and start by getting the first element out of our array. And we can do that by saying current question equals questions from our questions array, open up the square brackets and type in 0 to get the first element. And that's how we would set that. And then we can set up question and right. That would be how we would proceed with that. Also, since counter is a variable here, I would say in the very beginning, when we set the question, we want to set the question equal to, we don't want to hard code that value. We're going to set the question equal to, or the counter equal to questions dot count. Okay. So we have question dot count, and that will set it equal to that. And from then on, we will start to we'll go ahead and remove the first element. Questions dot remove. We'll remove the first element after we set that first element equal to the current question. And we will say we won't do any of this unless questions is not empty. Dot is empty. The not operator is the exclamation mark. I'm going to put this code inside of here. So as long as questions is not empty, then we will continue to set the start this round with a question, and we're going to remove that first element after we have set it equal to the current question. Now there's one more thing I need to do in my view that I did not account for. If we go to main.storyboard, I'm going to hold Option and click down here. I actually want to get some feedback on whether or not I selected the right answer. So I'm going to call this status. And I'm going to go over to my inspector here and make that centered. That'd be perfect. And let's tie it into code. We'll open up the assistant editor here. This time it's going to show up on the side. Also, by the way, just to give you a nice little tidbit, you can do Command Shift O, and you can type in quiz, view controller, and then you can hold the Option key down and hit return. That will open up a separate page for yourself as well. Now I'm going to hold down the Control key and click and drag this status label in here. I'm going to call this status label. There we go. And let's go back to our quiz view controller. I hit Command return to close up that window. Okay, now that we have a status label where we set up the question, I'm also going to set the status to nothing. So status label.text equals nothing. So it'd be blank. It shouldn't even really show up. So if I do Command R and run the app, right, we don't see a label there right now. So I'm going to stop this and let's keep going with this. So as long as there's a question inside of our questions array, as long as it's not empty, it will proceed and then it'll set the current question equal to the very first out of our array. Immediately afterward, it'll remove that from the array itself because it's still going to stay contained in the current question. And question status dot remove, or questions will remove the very first one, and then we'll set up the question using the current question that we had just previously set. Now, if it is empty, then we will say you are finished. Obviously, I need to put this in quotation marks. I did this a little backwards, but I'm going to say status label.text is equal to that. Now, when a person hits true or false, we need to do something. Based on the current question at the time, whether it's true or false, we need to change the status and say, hey, that was incorrect, or yeah, you got that correct. So if the player selects true, if they select true and the current question dot answer is also true, equal to true, then we can change the status label dot text equal to, yay, you got it right. And we'll also, just for fun, change the color. Status label dot color, text color, equals dot green. Else, if it's not true and they selected true, then I'm going to highlight this and copy copy this in here in our else statement, except I'm going to change the color to red. I'm going to say, sorry, that was incorrect. Sad face. And got to put a happy face on this one. Awesome. So now I can actually just literally copy and paste this and switch some things around, except it's going to be different. It's going to be false, right? Because if a person selects false and it is false, the answer is equal to false, then it should say, yes, you got it right, and else you got it wrong. So let's actually try out our game and see if this works. I'm going to hit play, do Command R. Okay, and so are you ready? True. Yeah, you got it right. Now, there's something that we're not taking into account right now. This is working right now. This is working just fine. It's working the way it's not as intended, but it's working the way we wrote it. And you'll notice this. You'll be like, oh, I did this, this, and this. It should be working, right? Hopefully some of you caught on to what had gone wrong or what I missed or what I forgot to include. If it's not empty, it's going to go here, setup question. It did get the questions. Our start round is never being called. So start round needs to be called. We can get rid of setup question because that's already being applied to the start round. And we want to replace that here. And now let's run our app and see how that works. Is iPhone the best? True. Yeah, you got it right. Okay. That would be false. Now it's not going to the next one yet. So what this means is after we select something, it needs to then go to the next round. So it needs to start a new round. Okay. I'm going to teach you a trick too. After a little bit of time, we want the text label to clear itself out. So this is a little bit of an advanced trick, but you can do dispatch q dot main dot async after, and then you can do dot now plus, and this will be the amount of time that you want before you actually execute something. We'll do 1 second. And we'll hit the return key on that, and it should open up some brackets like this. Pretty similar. If not, you can make it look like this. It'll be fine. And after about 1 second, we want to set the status label. Dot text. Just the text is fine. Equal to nothing. Okay. And also we'll start the next round after that time as well. All right, let's try this. Oh, it's giving us some errors. Let's see. So these items are nested, so we're going to need to use the keyword self, just like I was saying. They're very nested inside of those brackets. Yay, we got it right. Yep. And so there's a little timer, and then it goes on to the next one. Apple only iPad Pro can use Apple Pencil. I know that's true, but we're gonna hit false. Sorry, that was incorrect. And then after a second, it should. Oh, we only did that for, we didn't do that for both of them. So we've got to do that for both true and false. And sometimes you might designate, like you might have this in its own method as well, and you might just call that method whenever you need it. Called, delay start next round or something like that. You could do whatever you want. This is your rules. This is your game. You can do exactly what you like. Let's make sure that the false works, and then we will wrap this up. That would be pretty much it. True. There you go. False. There you go. True. Not. False. And true. And then it says here, you are finished. Cool. So anyway, I would say, fix this up a little bit. You have the capability of going through here, setting these other labels like the score. You can keep track of the score. I know you know how to do that. You can do that. We actually didn't end up needing the counter. I think, matter of fact, if I get rid of the counter, does it give me any errors? I can get rid of that. Shouldn't be any errors at all, actually. But, if you find yourself not using something, you can totally get rid of it. You can improve upon it. Maybe you do want to use it. Find some way of implementing it. Anyway, great job if you were able to keep up with everything that we went through. We went over actually a lot. And this is a very unique looking project already. You got a chance to fix up your hierarchy a little bit and get some, get your feet wet with that. And as well as use all the skills that you've learned in the previous videos, if you've been following the series, and apply them to this. So you are taking your next step into a larger world if this is your first time. If not, hopefully this video helped you out. If it did, please leave a like. Go ahead and subscribe because I'm going to keep doing some more videos like this. It really helps out. Leave a message if you have some feedback, good or bad. That'd be great. That way I can know to keep doing something or to not keep doing something that's not helpful. But thank you so much for your time. It was a pleasure. It was a great review. It's great practice for me doing these things because even if I'm working on really high level concepts, it's great to come back down and really hone in on the basics. Everyone should have a good solid understanding of the basics, and hopefully my descriptions are helping you because that's what I had trouble with in the beginning. Anyway, it was a pleasure, and I will talk to you later. Have a good one.